Hello, all. Are you in that seat?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just put my stuff there, but it doesn't matter. You pick. I can sit over there if you want.
I did use deodorant today. Don't have to fight who sits
Doesn't
next
matter. I
to
can go here either way.
Oh, I didn't even realize that one was open.
It's also-
Yeah, these two.
You want? I'll see. You already put your stuff.
Forming security.
Are you?
Yeah, I agree with your email, but what the heck do they need this? V2, V3.
I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:30 PM.
Want me to do roll?
Yep.
I'll go bottom up again. Brian Wingbermule,
Present.
Dana Sandweiss,
Present.
Yay.
Tommy Pearson, Scott Musgrave,
Present.
Jason Moore,
Present.
Sue Meredith, Glenn Conan,
Present.
John Kelly,
Present.
Karen Cloyd, Matt Chellis,
Here.
John Bowman,
Here.
Adam Bone,
Here.
Jennifer Bird,
Here.
Becky Arps, present. Do I hear okay, so are there any questions or comments regarding the minutes from the meeting on November 15th?
I move we accept the minutes as presented by the co-secretaries.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? All opposed? Motion passed. Present coordinated maps. It is my understanding that there was a press release that came out that said, that said that the Democrat contingents did not support the coordinated map and that they had a new map. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Would you like to present that map?
Yes, I will pull up on screen share if I can. Give me just one moment. And folks, yes, folks can see this. John, do you want to talk a little bit about what we changed?
So there was issue with the northwest boundary of District 3. So there was neither enough compactness or contiguous. So we tried to smooth those lines out again because they were a little strange looking. Some people say they look like a person. And it also should have included not placing District 3, wait a minute, I'm sorry. It should have included District 2 and placed it in District 3. So that gave up the appearance of a little customizing going on. So that being said, Brian, you go ahead and finish up the other boundaries.
Yeah, we, after talking on Sunday, I know folks were interested in making sure that our numbers in these districts were as similar as possible. And so looking at this map, we are at 0.61% deviation. It works out, I think, maximum of about 480 people in a district. We also maintain as many municipal boundaries as are possible without deviating our population any more than it already was. We are able to keep 79 out of 88 of these municipalities in a district. The only municipalities were split in the case just to bring our population deviation closer. But that's still about a 90% success rate of keeping our municipalities intact. We worked, I know our first map that adhered, probably what I would say in retrospect, relied too heavily on municipal boundaries, was quite sprawling. And so in this version, it's obviously a lot more compact. It looks more like that polygon test that is used at the congressional level and things like that. So overall, I think it checks a lot of boxes for us.
Might point out this map scores 94% on compactness on the Dave's map scale, which is not obviously the only scale, but we're very happy getting a 94. I think the prior map wouldn't do quite that well.
Which prior map?
2010.
Oh, okay, not any of the prior maps that have been presented, but the current.
The current map.
So as a point of clarification, this map redistricts Tim Fitch out of his district?
That is correct.
And as another point of clarification, where does the bottom of the first fall? I can't tell.
Yeah, so the bottom of the first district, that kind of bluish purple color, that is actually the university city boundary. And so we can zoom in. I believe it stair steps a little bit. So let me see if I can pick up on the streets. Screen
Brian, or Madam Chair, if I can reiterate that we did not redistrict anyone in or out of, that is not part of our consideration. We were considering the population growth in the county, the contiguous and the compactness of the county, of the districts, and keeping the numbers as close together without making too much change.
I got one question. Your one that you proposed last week, do you have that one available? Because I want to know why all of a sudden it's so different. And not only that, you guys all agreed on one and then all of a sudden decided to just blow it up and change what we already worked on.
Yeah, we're gonna, John.
There's two questions there.
There's two questions. I don't know about.
I can address that.
Dana.
I'd like to address that. Number one, we had a draft map that we proposed, and we spoke about meeting with the Republicans to try and come together with a map. And I think that meeting did happen. And it's my understanding that there was not a compromise that was met to satisfy all parties. So the map that we proposed last week was always labeled a draft map. and we changed the numbers to make, like Brian said, more compact, more contiguous. And so the numbers would be closer together in all the districts with the least minimal change.
Commissioner Sandweiss, I find that very interesting that you would say that we didn't come to an agreement, because when we left, it was my understanding, based on our conversation, that we had agreed upon a map that we were willing to present to the rest of the commission.
Madam Chairman, my memory is we thought we were working to a map and we were getting very close.
So I believe she's speaking to the meeting that happened yesterday.
Oh, let me speak to that. That didn't get signed off on by either one of us. We both agreed to go back to getting as close as we could to the map that we almost agreed on. So it was not coordinated. We left there in better shape than we was the whole time we were there. We spent most of the time there talking about borders in New City and Highway 40. And we ended up redoing the whole map. That's what threw us totally off track. Am I right? We had to redo. Because there was a recommendation that was impossible. There was a population move that caused so many people to be moved, it threw us out of deviation.
The map that we left with yesterday had a maximum of 0.25
Sounds what I don't know.
difference on any of the particular districts. Yes, ma'am.
Sue, go ahead.
On the light. All right. When we worked on drawing maps, we tried changing lines. Every time you move a line, it messes up the population. Every time. And we did get the numbers pretty close. And everyone kind of felt, yeah, we worked on a map and we got closer. And some of us apparently were under some of us were under the impression that there was an agreement. However, there was no vote taken. And there was no statement of, okay, so we all agree on this. That was never stated. So, I mean, I think we all felt better about it, but I don't think
Well-
that there was no statement.
We don't think that we voted on it, but we all thought that maybe we had a chance to.
She's talking about the forum.
Oh, okay, right, that's what I mean.
Well, there were
I
five.
know
of
you
us.
guys, no, but what we're saying is last week, we thought we were getting that close, and all of a sudden, this comes in, and all of a sudden, you draw some of the same lines just to do one agenda. So I'm sorry, I thought we were that close to being able to work together, but obviously, I
We
mean,
kind of were, but.
well, no, you're right,
nobody-
we kind of were. Now we're not, doesn't sound like we are.
Well, I'd like to, our one agenda is to make fair maps for St. Louis that are contiguous, compact. The numbers are close as possible with most minimal change.
Right.
So that was our goal.
So with
And we
that,
believe we've achieved that.
Could you show us the statistics of this map, please?
Brian,
Are you talking? Yes.
Which race are you using to generate these statistics on that first page with the advanced options on that gear?
I believe it is the 2016 through 2020.
Oh, the composite.
The composite,
Okay.
yes. The default.
Are there any other questions regarding this map?
I'm waiting to hear.
Oh, that's what he had.
That
pulled
was
up.
just there.
Oh, yes, it was.
I can't see that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It said 0.62,
Was the largest deviation?
480 votes, or I'm sorry, 480 people
That was the largest central.
from, yes, from a perfect average. Yes.
it's not bad.
Why would you turn away from a map where the largest deviation was 0.25 when it's more compact and contiguous? And both of the maps that you were looking at yesterday were more compact and contiguous than this and had a closer deviation.
I do not believe they were more compact and contiguous.
Well, you can look at the shape of the what districts that you have on this map and see that they are, I mean, what is your definition of compact and contiguous?
There's actually, the application has a definition. Brian, would you click on analyze?
Yes, I can do that. I believe the score was something like 9.4. On this, it looks like it says 9.2.
Okay. So the map that we left with yesterday was
98.
98.
98.
So
it's-
objectively, this map is less compact.
By your own standards.
So,
But this map preserves our original purpose, if we had mentioned you in our first meeting, we're trying to keep municipalities together, trying to keep communities of interest together.
Oh, and so you would separate University City from North County?
We didn't want to.
It's not separated.
It's not separated.
It is not, it is University City on this map is no longer in the first council district. It is now in a district with Clayton. So that is keeping groups of populations together.
They're all in the same city.
We're not,
What kind of population are you talking about?
You had mentioned that you were, one of the things that you were
But-
talking about keeping,
our original map kept all 88 municipalities within single districts.
With
This
the
one
exception of
does
Chester.
79 out of 88. As we mentioned before, we got 90%, which is better than 25 or 40%.
Man,
what it would do to those districts to go back. To municipalities.
well, it would, well, it would draw our having a Delmar divide that's north and south. We're trying to get away from that altogether already. So is this your map?
So why is?
Yes.
I had a question. Is there, might not be possible, but the map that we thought we had agreement on,
Yeah.
can we superimpose that on one of these screens? Because that's really, a visual really helps me. And I know we have,
I don't know about, but. I
no,
think
I'm
that-
just saying one on the left, one on the right. But the map we thought we had agreement, can we put it on the right screen? I'm asking, I'm not saying.
I don't think we can.
Okay. Thank you.
Is this the map you like?
Yes.
So if I recall correctly, in the statement that was made at an earlier meeting, there was that you guys made the statement that we are committed to work towards fair districts that keep St. Louis County communities together, taking into account the importance of municipalities, geographic boundaries, and communities who identify by race or culture. I am unsure how you can stick with that final statement and move University City into a different district.
Why? I don't understand what your concern is with U City. I mean, why is it, it's a city. They all work together as a city.
what's the?
Why
piece?
is there
It's just
a
city.
problem having that city be together?
I didn't say there was a problem having the city be together. I'm speaking to the desire stated
Okay,
by the
So-
Democrat caucus to have
Oh.
communities who identify by race or culture together.
so
Well, your
you,
city is one of the most diverse cities in the county.
Mhm.
I mean, diversity is not an issue in your city.
But
We're getting away from that term. If we could get away from terms like that, we'd be a better place. Thank you. Yeah. Well, we have a north and south divide that you're talking about that we're trying to get away from.
so are you,
Just because you said, Madam Commissioner, doesn't make it true.
so you were,
I was trying to figure out, I guess, are you saying that U City and Clayton are too different to be in the same council district?
I would say if you were to take the communities of who identify by race or culture, that there are more things in alignment with cities north of University City and University City than there is with University City and Clayton.
What does the majority minority numbers look like in these two districts?
in the bluish purple and the red, we can hit the statistics tab again. I'm not sure. What it
So it would be the 5th and the 1st.
Right, I'm trying to double check that these numbers match up. It is the 5th and the 1st. So going back to the statistics. The first district would be 72% minority, and 4 would be 68.
5.
Oh,
It's the
yes,
fifth.
number 5, 26.
Okay.
So the population, the majority, what you're talking about is the black-white ratio? Am I correct? Okay,
Majority minority.
okay.
More complicated
It's-
than University City. You have a large number of people who are not African American or Caucasian. Plus, you have students from Washington University, especially in that area down by the loop, where Washington University now controls a lot of those brownstones for student housing. So, plus we had the old Chinatown area out almost to Olivet in University City. It's always been a very diverse little town.
Right, so does that make the minority number in this statistic incorrect?
We received public comment to keep U City together. And so that is what we did.
And so you chose to move U City down as opposed to moving the first council district down to the bottom of U City?
That's because that's the way the population went.
I'm just trying to match the statements of what you stated earlier on in this commission of what your desire, and you guys referenced those statements just a few minutes ago to the map that you have drawn.
I don't think there's a conflict there. I think there might be a difference of opinion, but I don't,
Well, it's a democratic, I mean, it's a demographic trend is what it is. Where people are moving.
Dana, I did have a question about the statement you made. Which testimony are you referring to? Are you referring to the one from Farrakhan saying we should keep Delmar as the border between them? Or are you talking about Kevin's that is talking about University Township, not the city of? So I just want to be clear about this statement testimony that we've received.
Dana?
Yeah.
That question was directed to you.
I think.
Oh, to me, both of those.
Well, no, I was asking, you said that there was testimony we received that we wanted to keep the city unified, but the only testimony I have shows either referencing University Township, which is not coextensive with the city. And then there's also testimony that says they should keep Delmar as the border between the 1st and the 5th County Council District. I wasn't sure which testimony to which you referred.
Yeah, specifically the committee man of University Township, the Democrat committee man of University Township requested that you keep University Township in the 1st County District.
And keep Delmar as the dividing.
But it wasn't the dividing line. It was Vernon.
No,
It was
I'm not
Delmar
saying it
and
was.
Vernon.
I'm saying I'm asking her which testimony she's referring to, and she made the statement that University City was requested to stay within one district when
He's talking
neither.
about the township.
Correct. That's my.
But the township said they are redistricting.
I understand. That's why I'm specifically asking her that question. What is she referring to when she said testimony says that University City should stay unified?
When we move population the way we try to, as you recall,
Mhm.
that throws this map totally out of whack.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked a question. I wasn't sure what she's referring to.
Because the two testimony that we have in our handout, one requests that we move the 1st County District to Delmar, line to Delmar, and the other one requests that we keep we do not reduce the neighboring University Township.
Ironically, from the Clayton Township.
I guess the
Committee.
question is, are you referring to testimony that was received by this commission? Are you referring to testimony that you received privately?
No, I was referring to keeping municipalities together.
No, but you referred to
You-
a
you referred to
testimony. That's why
testimony.
I want to get a clear clarification. What testimony are you referring to when you made the statement?
The general comments to keep municipalities together is what I was referring to, that we've received
Okay,
the
that's
past
why.
few weeks. The general, yeah.
But not specifically from this week specifically, you're referring to other comments that other people.
Well, we have those comments.
Yeah.
Are you referring to anything in particular?
Well, no, but I understand that there have been in the past. Yeah.
Any other questions about the map?
I guess I'm not a big speech statement maker, but essentially I'm confused as to, we had two maps that were consistent and identical in every single way, with the exception of 3 specific areas that we came to what I thought was a reasonable compromise. I'm confused as if we came so close to the part of agreeing on the 6th, the 7th, the 4th, all of these lines, what was the impetus to suddenly, without any heads up, to draw a map that abandons all those lines altogether? I guess I'm just confused at the taking a, well, yeah, if you overlay our first draft with their second draft, all the lines that are contiguous were just taken by surprise, and having 4 hours of our life wasted having come to an agreement on a map that was suddenly just thrown out without any discussion. And I'm not inherently an emotional person, but I just find that very, I don't know, insulting to have our time wasted like that.
I understand your confusion. However, well, he just said he doesn't understand.
Mhm.
I understand that it's hard to understand, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, back at the ranch, in our meeting that we had on Sunday, I am the person who was called upon at the moment to talk. You can raise your hand just like I did. Anyway, when we were talking Sunday, Brian specifically asked
Mhm.
what everyone thought about
Yeah.
whichever map it was at the moment. No one ever asked, after we talked about the second map, we talked about the first map, then we talked about the second map. After the second map, there wasn't a question, does anybody have any questions? And there was one issue that I brought up 3 times about, well, the northwest corner of the 3rd district. And it was, oh, don't worry about it, and went back to looking at U City. And it happened repeatedly. So I had asked the question 3 times, and no one ever considered looking at that part of the map. And after 2 hours, everybody decided, well, it's time to go home, and we did.
Excuse me, I would beg to differ that we did address that. And the conversation was, if you recall, that area is where Tim Fitch lives, and we had a strong concern about drawing a district that drew a seated council person out of the district. Do you recall that conversation? So I would, and we asked you how you felt about several things, but Jennifer had a comment.
I'd like to. Decision making. That was the question. Also would like. It's from this perspective, it's kind of like, what happened after all did Sam Page and.
Jen, turn on your mic.
You know, did Mr. Page get a hold of this and decide, oh, well, we're gonna have to make a few changes, and now we have it so we can change votes so that her David days may, for example, can be, voted out next time. I mean, I'm curious because I don't want to leave anything to speculation. We all have some pretty good imaginations, and given the gaslighting that's been happening for a long time, it's hard to have trust. So let's, and by the way, who also suggested the change to keep university together? Do we know that? Do we know who that person is?
We were always on that page. We always said we want to keep things together. We tried drawing lines. The numbers are impossible to work with. Unless you split big municipalities like University City. Unless you split
understand
them. At one point, we had University City split. We had Olivet split. We had a whole bunch of stuff split. And
I know. but there was a
Well,
lot of
that's-
time put in to yesterday to going through things and then suddenly a change.
Well,
And
I-
a big kerfluffle about it in a press release. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, it's really unfortunate that this is
Okay.
how it is.
Well, let's.
So I'd
let's
like
end
to
this-
understand.
Let's end this conversation.
Yeah, we're not gonna do
Mm.
back and forth. One person
Um,
at a time.
Okay.
She's got some.
So my curiosity is who's pushing for this and who is suggesting the town, now it's the township together. Okay, I mean, we have 5,700 gain overall. It's not a huge gain. It's not even leaning all the way in one portion or two of the county. There shouldn't be that much difference.
That
So it
assumes the
appears like
first-
a lot of game playing is happening here, and it's really unfortunate that that's the taste you leave in my mouth. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to respond to your last comment. So are you suggesting that we should move District Line 3 more north to accommodate a individual incumbent and where they've moved,
Where they live.
where they moved.
where they
moved to-
live? So they moved
it
to the
is-
more northern portion, so we should specifically carve out an area to accommodate that one individual?
So when they moved there, that area was already carved out. And one would think that their district would stay the same. I mean,
Why?
we could have taken the alternative and chosen to move those lines further because there is another council person that lives not far from that. That we could have also chosen to impact their area.
The population moved south and west, so it only made sense that the districts would grow south and west.
Any other, did you have anything else you wanted to add, Commissioner?
No.
Dana, well, I'd like to
Yes.
recognize,
Glenn?
Glenn,
Hi.
yeah.
Let's remember the 2010 maps were done by a consultant essentially hired from UMSL. And they were good as far as population split. But to say we can't do better this time, who still drives a car from 2010? Who still uses a computer or cell phone from 2000? I do. Okay, good for you. But the thing is, we could do better. And the whole idea of this process was to do better maps that better reflect St. Louis County and reflect the changes in where people live. The 2010 map was great as far as getting down to that itty bitty difference in population, but it didn't serve a lot of other needs. And it split a lot of communities. And it was done by the court without a whole lot of information from the commission that did the same thing we're doing.
I have a question.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to that statement, Commissioner?
No.
My question is, why would you show up here last week with that version that you had that would pretty much not differentiate anything? And then all of a sudden come in today with a drastic change compared to what you submitted last week? That's my big question because I don't understand.
It's not a drastic change.
Okay, well, no, compared to what your drawings were almost very close to what we had proposed. And then all of a sudden, radical change
That's not a radical
within
change.
the last 24 hours.
That's not a radical. or
Oh, yeah,
drastic change.
when you totally take out a whole district and you make it like a
Well,
boot
Well, those
heel.
areas lost 15,000 people. You had to move population around.
Was there anything else you wanted to add, Commissioner?
Yeah, no, that's, what,
Are there any other comments on commissioners on this side?
Are there any other comments?
Yes,
Can
I'd
we
like, oh, go
do
ahead.
Adam first?
I would have one question from what Glenn had said. The definition of better, what is the definition of better? The charter says there are three criteria with which we operate. We operate with the criteria of compactness, contiguousness, and equal population. I think a map that has a score of 100, like my first draft, a score of 98, like our compromised map, are both better objectively, compactness wise, than a map that has a 92% score. I think that's objectively
Then we have
better.
a difference of
The-
opinion
the,
on what we're looking
Both,
for.
so contiguousness is essentially irrelevant since you'd be hard pressed to find a map that's not contiguous, but population, we're both generally speaking equal population on both maps. We're splitting hairs, we're doing 0.1%, which I think is frankly excellent, but for the compactness, I think the only metric that really will hang us up the most, since population on both maps are very similar, is compactness, which is the only criteria in the charter that is referenced. Charter makes no references to keeping communities of interest together, keeps municipalities together. It doesn't speak to anything like the state constitution does, whether with Clean Missouri or its revision thereof, that has those priorities built in place. Our charter makes none of those references. Therefore, objectively, a better map is a map that is more compact, a map that has a higher score on a compactness scale. Unless there's another criteria that you can find in the charter, our map is better.
Beyond the charter, however, we feel that keeping communities together, keeping neighborhoods together is more important than an exact head count of, say, and you said we're down within 500. We were within a very close count. I don't think anyone can complain that in either map, the difference between the districts is anything other than negligible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, but what we're doing is the philosophy of how we set up our lines.
Okay.
And we're trying to keep communities together more than, yes, it's not required in the charter, but we think it is the right thing to do.
Jen?
Okay, I want to know who wants to keep the township together. I want to know that name because that matters to me. Because again, this is very suspicious. It's all hunky dory and fine and everybody's happy, and then, oh, go back behind the scenes. So it makes me think that there's something else at work here, that it was, it was like, here's what we found. Okay. And then go back. Oh, well, let me look at the numbers now. We need to do this, this, and this because we don't want this person in their seat next time around.
So
We can do that, but I'm sorry, but that's just the way I feel. So I'd like to know the name because that gives the whole story with the W in front instead of the hole in the story that sometimes people want us to focus on when they want to push their agenda. So I want transparency all the way through, just like, public comments are all in the minutes and everything. Let's know that, please.
So-
Since we're doing such a contentious thing here.
So from the township perspective, it's in our packet and it was in the email. There were 2 requests. Farrakhan Shagag requested that the University Township extends past Olive to Delmar, placing the county district line at Olive will dissect our township into 2 districts. And he requested that we would like to remain entirely in the first county district. And then also Kevin Pum requested that on behalf of the Clayton Township Democrat Club, we would like to ask if that the commission does not split or reduce our neighboring University Township.
Can you say all that in public comments? I mean, all of that's in public comments, right?
Well, yeah. It's in the public comment.
Okay.
Was there anything else?
I still think it's still very suspicious to me that this is, all of a sudden a big deal when it doesn't really fit at all the criteria that is stipulated. And I thought we had already established that, but we'll just be going back and forth on this.
Any other comments over here? Any other comments on, yes, Matt?
I'd just like to say that I'm very disappointed. We've all spent a lot of time on this sides of the aisle, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. This is the way it's gone the last 4 times this commission has attempted to draw a map. And I was warned of this by a previous commissioner who served 10 years ago, that this is the way it would go, that your colleagues on the other side of the aisle would act like they were negotiating in good faith and then would come up with something completely different at the end. We thought we had a compromise. We had 2 maps that were very close together a week ago. And we had a small working group that got together yesterday and negotiated the lines between the 2 maps. The one map that your side came up with and the one map that our side came up with, and negotiated those lines and came up with a compromise. And it's a compromise that you've walked away from today. And that leads me to believe that this has all been a sham from the beginning. I think that the Democrats knew from the beginning that the courts were more likely to take their sides based on who the judges are. And so let the courts draw the map for us. You know, when you talk about, this serves our needs, I would question, what are your needs? Are your needs what the commission, or what the, charter asks us to do? Or are your needs trying to draw a 5-2 majority in St. Louis County?
Okay, Sue.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Dana.
I just want to say that I don't appreciate my Republican counterparts saying that we've acted in anything but a respectful and trying to compromise and meeting together. Our original map was very different. We changed our map after receiving public comment and considering compactness, contiguous, and other factors. We met with our Republican counterparts and they were not able to agree. This map, we believe, complies with the county charter. We believe in good faith. We have been negotiating, and we personally don't believe that we should change our map to accommodate, to gerrymander, as Jennifer accused us of in the second meeting, of accommodating one individual. We believe that this map represents a fair map for St. Louis County going forward. We have acted in good faith. We have been at these meetings. We have been negotiating. We have been listening to the public and studying the law. And this is a good faith, fair map for St. Louis County. And I stand behind this.
Sue Meredith, go ahead.
I was going to say, could we see the other map?
I would say after we finish, if we're done with the comments on this one.
Are we going to keep going?
I was two things. One, my feeling is the county charter sets the baseline for what we do, not the ceiling. In other words, we can do better than the charter says, which I think we have, by looking at municipalities and other factors. And the other thing is, I would like to move that we close discussion on the Democratic map and move to discussion of the Republican map.
So May, is there a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion did not pass.
It was, Commissioner Claude.
Karen,
Okay.
Additional comment?
Yes. So I'm a newbie to all this political stuff. And all I can say, just from a different perspective of somebody new, I'm dubious of how this is being managed, quite frankly. I mean, I'm looking at the maps today compared to what we did have last week and previous week, and it looks vastly different. Lots of carve outs here and there. And I know that's in relation to, well, carving out the individual precincts, making sure municipalities stick together. But it's just fascinating how one individual councilman just happens to be the one that has to be lopped off. I mean, to me, that is just seems to be untoward, quite frankly. And then especially when a counterpart that's not too far away was, if I recall correctly, a couple of meetings ago, it was mentioned that she was given essentially a little bit more of a buffer zone for where she lives. So again, like Mr. Chellis said, this is disappointing. I thought we were very close, first time in 30 years, and it looks like we're nowhere close, quite frankly. I don't want to say poison pill, but I mean, quite frankly, that's what I see. After all these weeks of actually trying to get this stuff done, and now we get this at the very last second. That's all I got to say.
I'd correct you to say we were close to 50 years.
Close to 50 years. I stand corrected.
I just want to make a request. If on your DRA, can you tone down the opacity 20%, 30%? Thank you. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just couldn't quite see all of them.
Are there any other comments?
Yes, Becky, I did have a comment. I mean, there was discussion, and I'm not quoting people exactly what they said, but you guys said we're trying to improve on the way the 2010 census. And then you say we're trying to improve on the charter. The charter are the guidelines. You don't use philosophies to go outside of the guidelines that we're supposed to use to draw these districts. And that map, and that's why I wanted both maps up so people could see, oh, wow, that's what they look like. From this map coming up with what, 2-3 days ago, we thought we were close. How can you have that much difference if that's the case? I just don't understand it.
Any other comments over here? Trying to give people time.
Likewise, the claim that you're acting in good faith, claiming it doesn't make it so, because there have been a lot of games all the way up to this point, which brings me to my still feeling that there is something very untoward with this, that somebody else is pulling strings behind the scenes to mandate this and make this change. And I don't think it's right. Again, the criteria is compact and contiguous and population. And, you know, we don't need to go off on an ideological tangent of how to make it better in this perspective. That's in your opinion. And that's not necessarily the right answer. And it certainly isn't after a lot of time was put in by other people to meet and then a sudden change. It's just, I want to emphasize my distaste for that. And I want to make sure that that's part of the record, because the habit is for you to paint us as the problem people. That's not the case. So I'm pulling back from that. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments?
When does this map actually go into effect if it was passed?
November of next year. So 9 months after the map.
November of next year
For the election.
Yeah.
for the election?
But as far as taking into effect, it will for council members who take office after January 1, 2023.
Would have to
Right.
live in that district.
Right.
Correct. There's nothing in the charter that gives grandfathering allowances like the state constitution allows
Right.
it to, or in the case of state senate, 4-year
Mhm.
Right.
pass.
Any other comments on this side?
That we voted up or down, and then we go ahead and vote.
So are you making a motion that we make an up or down vote on this particular map?
Well, you won't show us the other one, so yeah.
We hadn't completed comment. We can look, if we have completed comment, are there any other comments on this side? Do we hear a motion to move to the Republican map?
Yes.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Are you in a position to present that?
Technologically, I think the powers that be are shifting.
You have the power.
Don't give me power.
Excuse me really quickly. Who was the person who seconded that motion?
I don't even know who the primary was.
It was hard to hear.
I think Jay made
Jay.
a motion,
Okay.
and I would say there were, pick somebody in the middle over here.
Oh, okay. Tommy or Glenn, one of
And
you.
you're good on that one.
Okay.
It is. Or no, Tommy wants to know.
No Courtney tonight. She was very helpful.
very helpful.
I don't know if, is it on the,
It's still on there, yeah.
I think it's still on the, it's not visible. Jay, do we have anyone from IT that can turn on or off maps on the original page? On the county page? Because right now on the county page, all we have is V2. Can we activate GOP V1?
Oh. Anything I have on my screen?
Hey, Jay, can we get Republican proposed map V1 on the page? or Courtney?
Well, he said he made me,
Yeah, you're presenter, so you want to just do
Oh,
these redistricting.
okay, yeah. I misunderstood. I thought he meant he made me the screen.
Yeah, no, I think you're on the WebEx, the presenter. So you can share your screen.
That's the question. I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Did you use a phone or did you use a tablet?
I use my laptop.
Oh, okay.
Can you share it, Adam?
Yeah,
He's right here.
oh, there.
The laptop.
Okay, okay.
Grab the laptop.
Yeah, he's gonna grab his laptop.
Great.
About how long that takes to. I'll probably wait for both of them before.
Do we want to, wait,
Good.
we could do the public comment in on the sign-in sheet right
Oh, there you
now
go.
as we're waiting for the laptop.
Here it is.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, you may have to go to Dave's redistricting because I don't see it on here.
Oh, on that screen.
Yeah. On the St. Louis, on the St. Louis map, I don't see that was such a happy sound.
We log in like in.
Yes. I know, when everybody in the world's watching, you're going to type your password wrong. Always happens that way. I know, your map, you're crazy.
Well, no, just email.
Mhm. So this is the first version of the GOP map. This is the initial map that we presented. Do we need to
Walk down through it again, or are we good with the previous conversation about it? The map that we're presenting is the first one map that we
first one.
presented.
Okay.
Well, I would give Adam an opportunity to some comments about how we came up with some of these lines.
I'll turn this on, so I turn it off. I propose the map that we began with at the beginning. I am still amenable. I don't know how much Becky was able to achieve the ability to make real life changes. Oh wait, I have the computer in front of me. I can.
You
Yeah,
do.
That's right. That's true. I am amenable to changes that we discussed even in our Sunday meeting, the results of which were abandoned. I'm amenable to moving Riverview up. We moved Florissant down, things like that. Even there's some areas of West County. But I still stand by the fact that this map is the most compact of any ones that have been presented. I think the first map that we presented was 100. I can't remember theirs. I think it was maybe in the mid 70s. The compromise map that we agreed to was 98. Theirs is now 92, and mine remains at 100, with numbers, deviations of which are lower than any map that we've presented in any other iteration so far. But as far as Matt's suggestion of describing the lines in North County, I used Chambers as its sole dividing line in the far east of the 4th County Council District. I maintained Highway 270 for the remainder, and I moved down districts to try to keep a parallel with its pre-existing line as much as you can in North County that's at a diagonal, unlike the rest of the map is. Along the 2-1 divide, I realigned it along Woodson Road. There were some areas east of Woodson that were still in the second, and I was able to move those over. And then I remained, maintained the 170, Woodson to 170 line. I cannot remember if Olive was the old boundary of the 5th, but that's where I believed it would be the best place to remain. And just like we talked about, and Farrakhan Chagag agrees, that Delmar is a logical dividing line between the 1st and the 5th county council district. So that's where I drew it down. And I'm amenable to the Delaware piece just west of 170. We can move that around. And I believe in my second map, I did move that to align with the University City's boundaries, even though it created an odd hangnail. For the rest of Creve Coeur, the border between 2 and 3, I maintained Ladue. I kept moving precincts from 3 to 2 as I moved east to west until I got to the point where the numbers no longer became more equal. I didn't mess with the 7th and 3rd all that much because it's already a mess as it is, and I would only make it worse at that point. And I've spoken to using Sulphur Springs, Big Bend, Hannah Road as the dividing line in the south, extending Big Bend all the way to Clayton, and using that as the major line. In the south, I used Gravois as the main northern border of County Council 6. I realigned its border with 3, the 3rd County Council district, to be along Sappington Road, and then Concord School Road as it approached Tesson Ferry, which I believe was already the boundary in the current districts, and then I maintained the remainder of it. Woodlawn maintains the straight line between Olive and the middle of Kirkwood. I had to give up the precinct somewhere, and I picked Watson Road to be an appreciable alternative, an appreciable starting point. I believe in my second map, I moved that up to Big Bend, which I think is an acceptable alternative as well. But I had to move some areas of Kirkwood eastward to account for the population. As 7 got smaller, I had to make 3 smaller, and shifted westward through that whole process. And I don't really know how much more I can talk about this map again, but that's as it stands as the second time we presented it.
Other questions?
Can we move on to the current map from the Republicans?
This is now the current.
This is now the current map?
So the one that we started out with.
Well, this is the first one. The title is the first draft. So I have in my extensive DRA library all 3 versions of the maps. Both of our versions, both of your versions, the 3rd version that was a compromise. I have all those in there, and this is the most compact one that we're beginning with. And since we're abandoning the compromise we worked so hard on Sunday, I am going to maintain a much more compact stance than we otherwise would have taken.
This is the map that we're presenting.
Madam Chairman, so this map preserves slicing off Meacham Park and Walnut Grove.
I don't know where those are. I looked at.
Meacham Park is east of Kirkwood Road in Kirkwood, and Walnut Grove is that section of Florissant beneath 270, which has long complained about being cut off from Florissant.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that was one of the first things I said, is that I'm still amenable. This was a last second thing insofar as finding out that we're abandoning the compromise that we worked so hard on. I am still amenable to moving Riverview, for example, and Sue made a good comment that the population north of Riverview, north of Chambers, is essentially the same population as the population of Florissant south of 270, and those are equal exchanges. And those are great. Those are great exchanges to maintain those municipalities, especially like you said, one of the people in written comment emailed. She made that point expressly, and I believe Sue referenced another comment in our meeting, so I assume probably someone else said it. Made that same point about Florissant. So.
And could we see the line between Manchester and Valley Park?
Oh.
And Baldwin, that area?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, you can see the The line as it exists from today goes all the way down up Hillsborough Road, zigzags around to Merrimack, at which point it goes north on Hannah, surprisingly abides by the Manchester City line on Big Bend, and then up Sulphur Springs, at which point it does an undulating up towards Sulphur Springs and Clayton Road.
That's Baxter Road. Sulphur Springs becomes Baxter north of Manchester.
Thank you.
Comments from the Republican side on this map?
I'm sorry, go ahead. I heard the question that we should look at version 3, which is the compromise that we thought the small working group had agreed to last evening. And, you know, this, if you guys have drawn a new map, well, then we will revert to our first map as the official map that we put forward. But if you guys are amenable to talking a compromise, I don't see any reason why we can't put up version 3 and talk about what you all came up with last evening.
I think we've addressed all of that in our press statement.
Well, Glenn
sorry.
asked to see it.
You may have addressed that in the press statement, but that press statement was not made available to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, why would you negotiate through the press instead of bringing it to the commission?
I think we did. We just made the same statements we made to the
Okay.
press.
And version 3 only was not made available through Courtney or through their system as of this afternoon when I checked.
Courtney generally does not open a map until the meeting.
So
that it's-
some of us are not seeing your version 3 at all.
That's a shame because it was.
Yeah, you guys had it.
Yeah, Brian and Sue and my esteemed co-chair had taken the to-do to share it with you.
I thought
So
that
I'm
was
sorry
version,
you weren't
I thought that was version 2, and now there's a version 3.
the one that was shared from yesterday.
I haven't
Would
seen
have
that.
been,
That was V3.
that was the one that was sent.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the one that Adam sent out last night.
Is it
So,
on the county website?
It is.
yes, so
It's on the county website.
Okay.
it's on there now, but when we left the meeting yesterday, unless there was something else I was mistaken about, my understanding was that Brian, Sue, and John would share that with the rest of the commission. And when I checked with John today around noon to see
Okay.
if you guys saw it, that was when he told me that most of you were opposed to it.
How could you be opposed to it if you hadn't seen it?
See it.
I was, Glenn, I
Glenn
didn't see
just
the
said he
map, but I
hadn't
was
seen it.
relying upon having talked to other members of the commission who had seen it.
Okay. John, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a point. If you watch this process that we've just gone through, you guys had very targeted questions on the map that Adam said he could accommodate. And we're talking specific minor changes. And your map is just a blow up at the last minute. If you look at the differences between our 3 maps that Adam produced, and there's very little change, and it's trying to accommodate within small numbers, because we got a total 50, 100, 700 people increase out of a 1 million person county. So we've got a lot more productive conversation off the Republican map as we did off of yours, in my opinion. Thank you.
Any other comment?
So,
Have trouble with strings and things. We have worked with this map, and I know you have too, particularly Adam. I don't even know how many hours to guess. And yes, there were some things with the map, as I discussed with Adam, when I figured out we can all see the map at the same time when he was working on it at home, which I thought was really weird. But anyway, and it was just as an experiment, I told him about that north area of the first district, bringing Florissant together, the one neighborhood that the woman had written to us about. And I did find an equal population between the blue one and that piece of Riverview. The same population, ironically, in both of those places, so we could swap people. And And that was kind of cool. And the one piece that I really had a problem with was the upper northwest corner of the 3rd district, because it looks to me like a gerrymander. I mean, it's a profile of a face. I keep saying a head. I refer to it as the head because well, it's very strange. It has hair sticking out and then it comes back with the eyes and then it has a nose and a chin and a collar. I see a face. I also see a face in the green one, but it's much larger. I just have a problem with that. I mean, Jennifer mentioned gerrymandering, and we want nice straight lines, but straight lines are kind of like knife cuts. Sometimes they're straight and painful. I just don't, I've never have liked that little portion. And I tried bringing it up at the meeting on Sunday, and I was brushed aside. And that's unfortunate. And we talked about it, and I said, after, as people were leaving, I said, I'm just not comfortable with that head sticking up there. And nobody else was comfortable with it either. Well, the 3 of us, so the other 2 weren't comfortable with it either. And apparently, unfortunately, you all didn't hear me. I only said it 3 times. I don't know. Maybe I just don't speak up enough. Maybe I'm not loud enough. Maybe I need to yell or scream or holler, but that's not who I am. So I speak. I hope people hear. If they don't, I'm sorry, but there it is. And I just have a real problem with that. And I understand that the person who recently moved, well, I think the person told me they've been there about 1.5 years. And I said, why did you do that? And I got a non-answer. And I said, if you're a politician, you always have to watch your lines. You always have to know your district. And if you live in the middle, you try and stay in the middle, especially if a year is coming up that ends in a 0. So I know that sounds a little crazy, but having lived the life, it's a fact. It's a fact of life. You have to watch your lines.
Okay.
I am finished.
Okay.
Okay, the courts put those boundaries in 10 years ago. So now you say it's gerrymandered because if they did it 10 years ago and it was done for what reason? The courts did this 10 years ago. Obviously we couldn't have done it, or even our predecessors, because everybody always goes to the court. So they made all these little lines and boundaries. And now you say it's gerrymandering? I don't get that, because there's a lot of different little cuts and squares and different little angles all over this map. And you're emphasizing on one little section. That would lead me to believe you have other intentions. Because if there's no way it was done 10 years ago to gerrymander for any reason, because if not, why? I don't get your accusation that that you were uncomfortable with something, but then you look at this whole map and there's little exposures like that, but you only focus on one thing. That's all I'm saying.
Comment? Question?
Can I answer the question?
Anybody over here?
Or
Okay.
Dana.
I wasn't on it 10 years ago. If I was 10 years ago, I probably would have said, what's with that little thing sticking up there? Because I have problems with all these maps. I represented a district that was so screwed up you could hardly stand it, and the judge just drew it. The judge apologized to me for the way the map was drawn. So, we should get better. That's all I can say. We should get better. And my influence was the same influence I've had all along. Keep them as straight as you can, but don't chop people out.
The
So
population basically moved south and west. So we lost 15,000 up in the north area. This map has significant changes for sure, but it's not the 2010 map, because Meacham Park would still be in Kirkwood, wouldn't it?
Are you completely
I'm
with
asking.
comment?
I'm asking a question.
We can put the map, can you put the lines up from the
Current map.
current map?
Gotta tell me.
Just put the,
44.
yeah. Yeah, there's Meacham Park. Can you put our colors and and what you have.
This is what I have.
Okay. So yes, you're correct. Meacham Park changed council district.
Was there anything else you wanted to add? Don?
But that's my concern.
Any other comment? Yes, sir.
The only other comment I'd make is in my second map, if Meacham Park is suddenly the crux of this area, my second map, which is a solid line as opposed to the dashed line, maintained Meacham Park. I don't know if that's a key turning point, but that's how I drew my second map. Ironically, it more aligned with the, what was it, touchscreen? It more aligned with the original boundaries between 3 and 5 until you got to Big Bend, which I believe was one of the roads that was used in the second Democrat map as well, Big Bend Road.
Yeah. If I could just ask Adam, where was Meacham Park in the compromise map?
I don't remember because I didn't know where Meacham.
It remained in its existing district.
Okay.
Any comments on this, on the Democrat side?
Any further comment on the Republican side?
No.
Is there a motion to move to public comment?
So moved.
All in favor?
Where's the second?
All opposed? So the sheet I have has Renee Artman. So I will remind all public comment, this is not, I'm not picking on you, Renee, I promise. But I will remind all public comment that I believe that we request the rules for public comment so that it's 3 minutes. And
That's fine.
tell us
That's
who you
fine.
are.
It won't take that long. Renee Artman, 63026. Do I have to do my address too? When I left here last week, I was excited with Mr. Bowman because the last thing I remember him saying is I think it was to Adam or either Matt, is that we have a map that I think we can agree on. So I thought, this is going to make history. This side coming together. What happened? Who got to you all? You all last week were celebrating almost this map. What happened? Why? It's very fishy. It stinks. And as I said in the beginning, going into this process, we have not gotten together since 1971. I was hopeful that this would happen, but some have said that this process is a total waste of time and let's just take it to the courts. And that's what you all are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next public comment is Helena Webb. Okay. And next public comment is Jeff Coleman.
I'm Jeff Coleman. Just a few topics I'd like to touch on briefly. And for the record, I am a current resident of District 7 who self-reapportioned from District 4 earlier this year. First, I'd like to mention that I am not sure how many citizens of St. Louis County would benefit from keeping a township whole within a single district, other than township committee people, which by my count would number approximately 2% of 1% of the entire population of St. Louis County. I don't know of anybody outside of that small group of people who would care one way or another if a township was remained intact within a particular county council district. Likewise, drawing districts that protect incumbent county council members would benefit very few people other than those incumbent county council members. So that is also something that is not required by the charter. But I understand that this commission is going to be under a lot of pressure by those county council incumbents to draw districts that benefit them. So I see why that is a frequent topic of discussion. I'm also wondering if the commission has not already done so for any proposed maps that will be voted on tonight, if you could review the population change over the last 10 years of those districts, because as we know, one of the districts lost a significant population, 10% of its population over the past 10 years. And some commissioners and some members of the public might be interested in possibly avoiding drawing a district that similarly has lost 10% of its population over the past 10 years, because that district would probably be likely to continue to lose population. And, you know, if that is something that the commission would seek to avoid, or perhaps the commission might seek to protect a district that has lost such a great population, and maybe there would be reasons that you would want to continue that. For example, if that district wishes to elect representation that would advocate for the unique needs of such a district, such as zoning favorable to real estate agencies and moving truck rental facilities and funeral parlors, you know, the kind of things that, you know, populations that are seeking to get out of their district as quickly as possible will be interested in. The last thing I would mention is that I know that last week the commission announced that the Census Bureau had confirmed that the population of St. Louis County had been reported to the president back in April. I would ask if that verbatim response could be read into the record at this meeting, or at the very least included in the minutes of the meeting for public review, just in case there was anything that was miscommunicated in that response or may have been misconstrued. In the event that this commission fails to approve a map tonight, there may be a way to not have to end the commission's work on November 28th. If that, if there is anything that is vague about that response, or possibly not as specific as we might expect. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that is all of the present public comment. I'm gonna just start from the top on the attendees. As I see them online, Greg Tate.
Oh, hi. Yes, I'm just listening. This is the first meeting I've attended like this. And I just, I would like to echo Renee Artman's comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm guessing Izzy's on for support, but Izzy,
Good luck.
I'm not saying your last name, I'm sorry. Okay. Jason Rosenbaum. I think he just beeped. Karen Pierre.
No comment.
Lisa Clancy. Nancy Saccone. Naseem, did you want to say anything? Roland Close. Shanti Young. Shante Young. Tim Fitch.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak again to this group. I joined a little late, but I did join in time to hear the comment from one of the commissioners who said that she had talked to the person who currently held this seat. And why would I have moved to an area of the district that was so close to a corner because the lines could change? I will tell you that I never had a conversation with anybody, whoever that commissioner was, about me moving or why did I move to a certain area of the district. So I don't know where that came from or why she said that, but it's not true. So the other thing I would say is the last I knew, I thought this had been worked out. And suddenly last minute, I am drawn out of the district again. So I will say, like I said, the last time I spoke to this group, I can only assume that that was for a very particular reason. That was to write me out of my district. So I will say that again, and it's very clear that that's why this has been changed again. So that's all I have to say this time. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your work.
That is the last attendee. To address the comment earlier, we can certainly have both the email and I believe we received an email from the county executive's office from the county council also stating that our date is triggered off of when we were appointed. But both of those will be provided to the secretaries to be added to the minutes. Do we have a preference of how we want to do the final vote? Do we want to vote on one map at a time, or do we want to vote on map D or map R?
Really quickly, did we come to a consensus that to approve the minutes from tonight, we would just do so over email?
Do we have a motion on the floor?
I'm not sure.
Minutes of this meeting by responding to an email from the secretaries.
Fantastic. Oh, I will second that.
Any discussion?
To save all of our, thank you, Jay. To save all of our inboxes, would it be easier for 7 and 7 to respond to their co-chairs and say, we all agree, and then those two people will email us? I don't know if it makes it easier or more complicated, but
I think that's fine.
50-50.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All in favor?
Are we in favor of my motion or that amended his?
Email.
Email as a whole.
Okay.
All in favor of accepting the minutes via email with coordination on each caucus?
Aye.
All opposed?
And who was the second on that? I'm sorry.
I was the
You were the
second.
second. I thought so. I wasn't sure.
So the question is, are we voting on each map individually, or how are we going to go through this process?
I don't know. Does anyone have a preference?
Let's just go each map.
Each map.
Okay, since we've presented the Democrat map first, do we want to start with that one?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
We'll do a roll call.
Oh, it'll be roll
Okay.
call.
Can I have the, thank you.
I was gonna say secretaries can take the role, but yeah.
Okay, why don't you take the roll?
I mean,
It's okay.
I'm not-
I'm
I'm
not picky. You want to take the roll and we'll respond either with Republican or Democrat? Does that work?
oh, so it's a binary between the two, not yay or nay on each individually.
D or R.
Okay.
We want to do each individually.
Individually. There'll be 2 votes, but it'll still be,
There'll still be two.
that's probably more
So
proper.
we are voting on the Democrat map.
The motion
an
is on the
aye.
floor to vote on the Democratic map. Is there a motion to say yes? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Second?
Second,
Okay. Motion to vote on the Democratic map.
is the secretary ready for the
Thank
motion?
you. Yes, I am. Becky Arps,
Nay.
Jennifer Bird. Adam Bone, nay. John Bowman,
Yes.
Matt Chellis,
No.
Karen Cloyd,
Yeah.
John Joseph Kelly,
Nay.
Glenn Coonan,
Yes.
Sue Meredith,
Yes.
Scott Musgrave, Tommy Pearson Jr., Stana Sandweis,
Yes.
Brian Wingramuli.
Yes.
unsurprisingly, the vote is 7-7. Oh,
Right?
you're not on this? Are you on this list? I skipped over you. Jason Moore.
Nay.
No. Now it is 7-7. I prematurely did that.
Now we can go and make a motion to vote on the Republican map.
Do you want to call roll for that, Brian?
I can do that. Do you mind passing the roll sheet or is it in the
Do you want
packet?
do you want
Yes,
to
sir.
pass yours?
You need a seat?
I do. I don't have the roll.
You should have a piece of
You
paper
can
that has,
have one like that too.
John should have one. Yeah, John should have a list of the people.
It's on there. That packet. It's in the packet.
So-
Here we go. Last page, of course.
So the
Beck-
motion so we have a motion to vote on the Republican map.
Do we? Who made it?
Do we have a,
Jennifer?
do we have a second?
Becky Arps,
Yes.
Jennifer Bird,
Yes.
Adam Bone,
Yes.
John Bowman,
No.
Matt Chellis,
Yes.
Karen Cloyd,
No.
John Joseph Kelly,
Yes.
Glenn Keenan,
No.
Sue Meredith, Jason Moore,
Yes.
Scott Musgrave,
Yes.
Tommy Pearson Jr., Dana Sandweiss,
No.
Brian Wingber Muley, myself, no. 7-7 again.
Do we have a motion to state that we cannot come to agreement?
So moved.
Now, before we do that, and before we declare this a failed commission, I would like to propose the compromise map that the 4 of you, 5 of you came up with last evening. Why can't we vote on that?
You want?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, you guys spent a lot of time on it.
Can you put it up so we can see it?
Can you put?
I don't know if you closed.
I'm so
Jay
sorry. I closed my
took the
laptop.
laptop.
Can you put it up, Brian?
I'm sorry, I closed my laptop. I can try and log back in.
Yeah, we don't have a laptop down here, so.
You said it was on the county website?
Yes.
Did we just vote for the map we wanted? So what we just did?
No.
What we wanted, we voted for this one.
Well, this doesn't give anybody completely what they want. That's why it was considered a compromise.
Wasn't coordinated.
Were you just verbalizing or were you actually making a motion? I didn't
No,
know.
I move that we adopt the compromise map worked on by the working group yesterday.
I second.
Hey, I'd like to amend that when you call it compromise. We never really came to a compromise. This map, we said we would look at it and take it to our board, the rest of our caucus.
That's not what I heard.
We said we'd take it to our caucus for approval.
Okay, well, I stand by that it was a compromise map worked on by 5 people in attendance and myself on the phone, and I heard what sounded like compromise to me. So I stand by those comments.
I heard we would take it to our caucus. I stand by that.
I don't think those two statements are.
No,
incompatible.
exactly. I was about to say.
I mean, we didn't agreed it was a compromise map. It couldn't be compromised to everybody. Everybody decided on it.
Right,
You don't have-
it's not a full compromise map until the entire body votes on it. I understand that.
So I guess the question would be, are you refusing to vote on it?
I think we have voted on the map that we like, unless you all have something else.
Well, there's a motion on the floor to even vote on it. We can even vote on that.
I mean, we can vote on that motion. All in favor of a vote on the,
What is referred to as the combined, or what is referred to on the maps page as the proposed compromise map. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion did not pass.
So you guys don't even want to vote on it. Beautiful.
So do we have a motion to state that we couldn't come to an agreement and we are at a stalemate?
I don't know what the process has been in the past. It's just that you don't come up on an agreed map. That's it. Unable to come up on an agreed map.
I just would like to end with a vote saying that we agree that we cannot come to an agreement.
Comments, will of the body?
If that is the right thing to do or not, but I don't have.
Turn to Robert's rules, if a
Robert's rules,
non-agreement is reportable.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that under Robert's rules. of order.
We have not, we're not reporting a positive, we're not reporting an outcome.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
Deliberative bodies make resolutions all the time. This would be nothing
Yeah,
more than us
resolution.
it's just essentially a resolution, a vote to say we are in an impasse. Obviously, we have another theoretical 5-6 more days over the Thanksgiving weekend that it could possibly happen. Taking a vote saying we're done essentially would be a signal that we're resigning the commission itself as a whole and adjourning in perpetuity.
Adam, I think that's a very good point. I
Oh,
think
good.
that there's always the possibility that somehow we'll get together over the next,
6 days?
I didn't mean to make it like that, but that's true.
Is there an interest for anybody to get back together again? To talk about this any further? We've already given it a go once yesterday. And we got presented with something that was totally different than what we discussed yesterday at the last second.
Comment?
Obviously, if we get together, tomorrow's the only day.
Yeah.
Wednesday through Sunday, people are traveling. Monday, we're done. So even if we had more than just a day, even if we had more than just a day, I would have to have confidence that we're going to accomplish something honestly. And I don't think I should have to waste more of my time. Sorry, I am on this board, but it's just a temporary thing. And so unless I had confidence that we were really going to come to something that could be worked out.
Those comments. If we got really get something done, then I'm willing to meet again.
So given the option that we offered up that last map, just as a last go around, just to give our very last attempt, because we tried and we still got to know. So I guess that means we're at an impasse and that is it. Last second changes after all these weeks has brought us to this moment of an impasse. It just seems very untoward after all this work that it's just thrown away. Like's been mentioned, and I'll say it again, this seems like it was poison pilled for a purpose. And that's really too bad because we were at a very good spot. And that was thrown away. So happy Thanksgiving.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?